Hey, what's up? It's Jared. Welcome to State of Tech, and today we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons to get an iPhone 7 Plus in 2017. Now, the reason I'm recording this video is because, well, it's obvious every year why you may or may not want to get a new iPhone, and specifically if you just want the latest iPhone. But it is the middle of the product cycle, kind of. The iPhone 7's been out for a little while. It's springtime, and some people are thinking, do I stick it out and wait for the next version of the iPhone, or do I just upgrade now? Well, this is the iPhone 7 Plus in the product red, the red color. It's just came out recently, and I decided to get one because the iPhone 7 Plus is a great phone. And I've got some reasons as to why I think that, and why I think you might want to go with an iPhone 7 Plus as opposed to either an iPhone 7, an iPhone 6S or S Plus, or maybe even jumping ship and going over to Android. So the first is going to be the dual cameras. Now, the dual cameras might sound a little gimmicky, but there's a good reason why there's dual cameras on here. Now, with phones, they're really small, they're really tiny, and there's no way to get good zoom, like lens zoom or camera zoom, out of a phone camera unless you have multiple cameras. If you have a camera, an actual camera, you know that the way that it zooms is by moving the lens in and out. Something changes with the lens in order to get you that zoom. Now, a phone typically would go into digital zoom, like when you kind of pinch to zoom, it goes into a digital zoom, which decreases quality, and I'm sure you've recognized this whenever you've tried to zoom in on your phone, that you just lose quality. It's a bummer. So with the dual cameras, you get the 2x zoom, which means it goes from a wide-angle camera to more of a zoom camera. It's not a huge amount of zoom, it's not a huge difference, but it is 2x, and it does offer you the ability to get a little bit closer without really losing any image quality. Now, personally, I have seen a difference in using the two different cameras with overall image quality, but it's still significantly better that you're going to get than if you zoom in manually using the digital zoom on a typical phone. So the dual cameras are pretty cool. It definitely helps you get in closer. It gives you more versatility with your camera on your phone. And then the camera on these phones, just in general, is really good quality images, especially out of the wide-angle lens on this camera, or on this phone. So the second would be storage options. Now, storage options are pretty important. The amount of storage that's on your phone determines how much stuff you're going to be able to have on your phone. And the iPhone has always had lots of options as far as storage goes. And now, if you are kind of a file pack rat, you like to have your music stored on your phone, your movies, your files, your photos, your videos, everything. They have 256 gigs of storage. That's a ton of storage, and that's native storage. That's not some storage plus a SD card in the side of the phone or whatever. That's bootable internal storage, and it's pretty fantastic to have a ton of storage in that fashion. And then if you don't need that, if you're like me and you do a lot more streaming of your stuff, you don't save a lot of stuff on your phone, you stream your music, you stream your videos and all of that stuff, you can save a little bit of money on your phone by getting a lower storage option. And on the iPhone, you are given that option. On a lot of other phones, you're stuck with one storage option, which typically is pretty low, and then you have to use a SD card in the phone and some of them don't even come with that option. And the SD card makes it a bummer not a bummer, but a challenge, which ends up being a bummer, to get your content onto it. It's not always native. It's not always a good experience when using or utilizing that external storage that's on your device. So storage options is fantastic. The third is the Apple ecosystem, which is just a fantastic ecosystem for multiple devices. Now, some can argue and say, oh, Apple, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to your experience between your iPhone, your tablet, and your computer, if you are on all Apple products, that experience is going to be really good. I mean, I can answer calls, respond to text messages, do video chat using FaceTime, whether I'm on any device, any of my devices, without having to do any, hacking or use any third-party software or any workarounds to make it happen. I can also share files using AirDrop to send photos maybe that I took with my phone over. I mean, even iCloud storage works to sync stuff across And you can do that on other platforms, but on the iPhone and a Mac and an iPad, it's just a really seamless process. I could take a photo, airdrop it to my Mac in a matter of seconds and be using that image, editing it in Photoshop or doing whatever I want to do with that file. It's just a very nice, easy to use experience that I don't have to install a bunch of third-party apps and have them running in the background and doing all these different things to make them work, and sometimes they don't work. It's a native experience, and it's pretty fantastic. There are other things about the Apple ecosystem that are great. Those are just some of my favorites. I think maybe the third favorite would be the Find My iPhone, Find My Mac, Find My iPad. Thankfully, I haven't lost anything, but I know that it would be extremely easy if I lost my phone to go to my iPad, go to my Mac, log in and see exactly where my device is. It would be a little bit more convoluted of a process to do that on other platforms, and definitely a little bit more confusing. So fantastic Apple ecosystem, definitely makes for a good user experience across the board. It's not for everybody, but it's something to consider. So the fourth is apps and software updates. Now, on an iPhone, you typically get apps first. I mean, Android definitely isn't as far behind as it used to be. And when it comes to apps, if you want the latest apps, the bleeding edge apps that are just coming out, you definitely are going to get those on the iPhone and not Android. A recent example is for anybody who was really excited about being able to play Mario Run on their phone. You definitely had to wait quite a while in order to get that on Android, and you had it ahead of time on the iPhone. And it's just a bummer that that is still a thing, but people with Apple devices tend to use more apps. People on Android tend to use less apps. It's just the way that it is. And so developers look at rolling stuff out to the iPhone first before they go and create an Android version. It's just still a very common thing. And then software updates, there are some Android phones that get really software updates really often, but not so much on all of them. Especially if it's a carrier-locked phone, those tend to lag behind. The iPhone always gets the software updates, and even older versions of the iPhone continue to get software updates, and it takes several years before they actually phase out a certain phone by not providing software updates to it anymore. Apple does a great job of not necessarily forcing you into buying new phones all the time. Sure, it's very easy to do that, and there are new features that are fun and exciting, but you can easily exist for 4 or 5 years before your phone is phased out, so long as you could put up with your battery life and other things that tend to deteriorate with time. You're going to get those software updates. You're going to stay up to date with what's going on. You might not have all the features, but you're still going to get the software updates, the security, and everything that comes along with that continued support. And that is something that not every Android phone manufacturer provides and offers. And a lot of them flat out just don't. Your phone's usually stuck at a version, and the only way to get a new version of Android is to get a new phone, and that's kind of a bummer. So the fifth and final is accessories. I mean, an iPhone is an iPhone. It's easier for companies to come out with accessories for one phone than it is to come out with accessories for a ton of different phones. Think about people that make cases and those types of accessories. They can make one case for an iPhone, but if they want to make their one case style for Android, they have probably 10 different phones that they're going to have to support if they want to cover the average popular phone. It's a lot of work for Android to have accessories for those different phones. The iPhone always has great accessories, from cases to external adapters and different things that are available, attachments and stuff for the camera to make your camera even better or make your phone even more useful. There just tends to be a lot more for Apple. So if you want to accessorize, if you want to be able to do more with your phone that's outside of the phone itself, typically you're going to find a lot more things available for the iPhone. And even when there's external type accessories that require developing for the iPhone, software developing, tends to come to the iPhone first for some odd reason, and I think that kind of ties into my last point, which was about apps. Developers just seem to go after the iPhone first, and I don't know if it's because they think it's the cool thing, because it's, you know, the sexy thing to develop for the iPhone or whatever. It just is what it is, and because of that, going with an iPhone means that you're gonna have probably better, quicker access to things than you would if you were on Android. So that's going to do it for the top 5 reasons that I think the iPhone 7 Plus is a great buy in 2017. You could hold out and wait for the iPhone 8 or whatever it's going to be called. Maybe it'll be called the iPhone 10, who knows? Whatever it is supposed to be pretty cool because it is the 10th year anniversary of the iPhone coming up. And with that said, maybe Apple will do something cool, but maybe they won't. The last several years, they haven't really done anything too new or exciting. So the iPhone 7 is a great, solid buy because unless they really rock the ship and change things here in this 10th year with the iPhone, you're probably pretty safe going with an iPhone 7 Plus. So that's going to do it. If you have any thoughts or questions, leave them in the comment section below. I've got some links for you in the description to the phone and maybe a few accessories just to kind of get your feet wet and let you see pricing and some options that are out there for you. So make sure to check those out and subscribe to our channel here on State of Tech. We're all about sharing, talking about technology, learning more about technology together, and talking about why it's good versus not and just what it's useful for. That's my favorite thing to do here and one of our core focuses. So subscribe to our channel and you'll get updates on new videos that we put out. Thanks again, and we hope to see you back here soon on State of Tech.